Hey guys, what's going on? This is Nick here with Catalyst Fitness. I'm super excited for this week's episode because we're going to be diving deep into the importance of nurturing things that are important to you. And so, if you're not familiar with the podcast, or maybe you are a listener that is with us consistently, you know for a fact that we're really going to be touching on several topics. Most importantly, we're looking at mindset, nutrition, movement, fitness, all those sorts of fun things. But once in a blue moon, I'll throw in some financial stuff and I'll throw in some relationship stuff as well. And the reason why I talk about these things is because I think that they are the biggest things that can determine the quality of our life. So whether that's positive or negative, I think all of that encompasses our relationship to our ability to function and live optimally. So I'd be hard pressed not to talk about these things. So in this week's episode, I'm really going to be diving deep into a recent trip that I had to Mexico, and I'm really going to be talking about my big takeaways from it, because I think one of the best things about life is it's a phenomenal teacher if you're open to the lessons that it teaches you. And so just to kind of preface this, I was nervous as hell going out of the country. I've never been out of the country. All I see is like media and news about what happens outside of the country. So I really don't have a perspective of being a world traveler. But I'll tell you what, this time going out of the country for me, the first time, I couldn't have asked for a better experience. I was actually really, really shocked. And what was so cool is there's a lot of things that happened while I was there that I would say are they're going to change the course of my life, for forever. And so we flew into Puerto Vallarta. I want to say Saturday. We got back Sunday, but we traveled about 40 minutes north or south. I don't even really know the direction, but we traveled about 40 minutes to go to Sayulita, which is a small surf beach community in Mexico. It's basically right on the border of the Pacific Ocean, very mountainous, kind of very similar to California. In some ways, because of a very Pacific-y West Coast vibe. And man, I was taken back. You look at the way that a lot of these people, in a third world country live, and they don't have much, but yet they're some of the nicest people and they're some of the happiest people. And I would even argue that like just interacting with them versus a lot of my interactions with people down here, they were better interactions. The people were more pleasant. I think I had one time where, one of the locals was an asshole, and I think it could have been because we were ATVing on a trail where he was walking, right? Could have just upset him or something like that. But the big thing I want to, talk about with this particular post was talking about the importance of nurturing things that are important to you. So one of my really, really good friends, is a guy that I absolutely, I love him like a brother. He and his fiance, who she's like a sister to me, I met them about 5 years ago. They're both unbelievable people, very kind, very giving, very loving. And what was so cool was that you could feel that with the bachelor party, and you could feel that with all the 100 people that came in from all around the world to support these guys on their next step. But one big thing was, a lot of people spent a lot of money to get there because it's a destination wedding. They took a lot of their time. Some people took a week, some people took a couple of days. And some people like myself, where the time and the money wasn't really the big thing. It was actually just being a little nervous going to Mexico, not sure what the hell to expect, to be totally real. I've never been out of the country. Like I said, I don't know what to expect. So I was definitely a little nervous. So you have people that, I wouldn't just do that sort of stuff for myself. I wouldn't say, hey, let's just go on a trip to Mexico for the first time, right? I think the only way that somebody would get me out of the country is if they're really important to me. And so what was phenomenally cool was my fiance was there. A lot of my good buddies were there that I've met through my friend. And a lot of the bride's friends were there. I met them previously, all really, really kick-ass people. But the big thing that kept coming up for me on this whole trip was just the importance of slowing down, and then also the importance of nurturing the things that are important to you, and maybe stepping outside of yourself to really just express gratitude, whether it's in the form of a friendship or maybe even your body, right? And so this post is really going to be about the importance of nurturing things that are important to us. And so It's funny when I got back from this trip. One of the big things that I kept getting asked was, it's like, oh, how'd you do with your diet? You know, did you work out? And I think people mainly ask me that because I own a gym, and they're just, you know, really curious. And I kind of laugh sometimes because it's like, my diet wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either. You know, but just to kind of give you a snapshot of, you know, what was had. You know, I had a lot of burritos, a lot of tacos. And believe it or not, like, there was this place called La Rustica, which had phenomenal steaks and chicken pasta, and like just different little small thin crust pizzas. Oh man, completely out of this world, right? But on the whole, these people, they make all their ingredients from scratch. So it's not like here where everything's processed. I mean, these people are making the tortillas by hand. Everything is from scratch. And what was really interesting was my digestion was better there than it was here in the States, which is really interesting because I think that I eat well here. So that was kind of something that I took on. Now, what kind of made my nutrition not the best was just probably the amount of alcohol that I consumed. And I know that people don't really look at that nutritionally, but I tend to, because it's something that I'm ingesting. But man, we had so much tequila, Corona Light, and mezcal that if I never see a glass of tequila, mezcal, or Corona Light again, I'm going to be totally happy. And you couple that with the fact that, you know, we really didn't drink a lot of water each day. I'm used to drinking about a gallon of water. Might have had like 2 or 3 bottles each day. So on the whole, the nutrition wasn't bad, but it wasn't amazing either. Now, I did not gain any weight. I actually lost weight on this trip, which I thought was kind of interesting, considering that I ate a hell of a lot more than what I normally do. Drank more alcohol than I think I've consumed in the past year, in this 1 week, maybe even 2 years. But the cool part was I didn't work out, you know, as intense or even with the same consistency that I do back here in the States. And you know, what was interesting was we did a lot of fun stuff. We went ATVing, walking through the town. A lot of people went on hikes. I didn't do any of the hikes. But we went to the gym, we swam, and we had a hell of a time dancing on the wedding night. I think we danced for like 5 hours that night. I'm not even kidding. I'll post some photos up on the blog of me dancing. I actually looked like one of those used car things that, like, basically, you know, try to get people's attention. That was kind of my MO. That's what I looked like the entire time dancing. But you know, one of the big things that stood out to me was I knew going to Mexico, that I wasn't going to be able to maintain my regular schedule, and it was totally cool that I wasn't going to be able to do that, because most people's issue that we get coming into our gym, it's not, they're very different from me. That's why, like, when I meet people in public and they originally see me, like, I'm a big guy. I'm 230 pounds. I'm 6'2". I just have a big build. So people think that, like, what I do is like what they're gonna do, and it's just not the furthest thing from the truth. Our program is designed for people over 40 that want to get in really good shape, who don't want to spend a hell of a lot of time doing it, right? They want to be very precise on what it is that they're trying to focus on. And so the funny thing about this was that I experienced some really interesting wins with this trip, and they had nothing to do with my body. It had everything to do with my mindset, and it had everything to do with my heart. And I know that sounds really like woo-woo and weird, but I'm gonna hit on both. So from a mindset's perspective, one of the things I immediately realized when we literally were taking a shuttle van down into Sayulita. There was maybe like 5 or 6 of us in this van, actually 7 of us in this van, and we were traveling through the mountains, going back and forth, phenomenal views. But literally when we hit the town, I could feel my nervous system just go, I can feel myself relax. And it's funny because when you're in the moment here, like at least for me in the States, I'm constantly charging, I'm constantly working, constantly doing things. I don't even realize how hard I go. And I have friends that tell me how hard I go, but to me, I actually think I can go harder. And this was a really good realization for me, just realizing that I think I have to do a better job of, you know, just taking time to cool the jets a little bit. You know, I don't always need to be on. Now, like I said, I work from sun up to sundown. I'm constantly thinking about ways to improve what we're doing to be able to help more people, and that's all good. It's very altruistic, but at the same time, I got to make sure that I'm taking the opportunity to recover and repair. So it doesn't mean I need to go to Mexico every week. One of the big things that popped up is I could easily just go up to Orlando once a month, or maybe I just drive down to Miami a week, or maybe I just go sit up at the beach at Fort Lauderdale and just relax. But the big thing from a mindset standpoint was just taking the time to disconnect from your work, disconnect from your everyday routine, and just kind of see something new. Because what happened with that is when I got back, I was so excited to come back to my normalcy. And before I left, I was kind of just getting lulled with it. Even though I like my routines, and I think most people are this way, we need a level of a break from those things too. So that was my big takeaway from the mindset standpoint. Now, from a heart standpoint, one of the big things that came up for me was just the importance of nurturing things that are important to us. And so again, there's no way in hell I would go out of the country, especially to Mexico, a place I don't know, especially with this, preconceived idea of what I think it is, right? Just being straight here. It's not, I thought it wasn't a very safe place, which, by the way, I did not feel unsafe at any point in time. When I was there, felt no different, which is kind of cool. But one of the big things is, like I said, I wouldn't go out of the country on my own terms. I wouldn't spend the amount of money that I spent to go out on this. And this is the big one for me, because I would never just take 8 days to just go do something like that. Maybe in the future, but I'm just not wired that way 100% right now. But again, it goes into my mindset thing that I need to, figure out a way to work on. But the big thing from a heart standpoint is I didn't do all of that for myself. I made the investment from a time and financial standpoint, and also just like getting over my own bullshit with, not wanting to go to Mexico. I made that investment because my friends are important to me. These two people, they're amazing human beings. They like the love that they have for each other. I wanted to be there, and I wanted to be able to support that in person. I didn't just want to send a gift. I didn't want to just be there for a couple days and hop in. I wanted to be there, and I wanted to be present with them and all their friends and just kind of soak all this in. And for me, that's nurturing that relationship. That's what that meant for me. And so that hits my heart big, because when I think about all of this, I really think about how important it is to nurture everything that is important to you. It's not just my friendships, it's my family, you know what I mean, giving them my presence, giving them my attention. It's my relationship with my fiance. Again, am I present? Am I giving them the attention? It's all these little small things on a day. And are you showing up for these big events for people that are important to you? Are you there really from that category? But it got me thinking about our bodies and really our mindset as it pertains to our body. And one of the big things that I think a lot of people don't do is they do not identify with nurturing their health and nurturing their body. And therefore, there's not a lot of learning that happens. People actually just continuously repeat mistakes. And so you see a lot of people that they're on to all these fads, the new diet, the new supplement, the new workout program, the try this, try that, you know what I mean? And what happens is they've never fully made it a lifestyle. And so they don't get this concept of actually nurturing something, okay? So I have some notes here, and I wanted to kind of, talk about this. And so you're going to get in life that which you nurture and that you put your time into, okay? So if you want a better body, you have to work out, eat well consistently. That's not for debate, okay? If you have, and you're almost being detrimental to your health by not doing it that way. When you yo-yo, it shocks your body. If you just never make a decision, you're just gonna sit in your own crap for years on at a time, right? Like, so I see a high level of indecisiveness, and then I also see a high level of the inability to not be consistent. And that's not an example of nurturing something that's important to you. If you want to actually feel better, you got to prioritize sleep, and you got to stop eating foods that make you feel like hell. And so for me, like I was saying, one of the big things that popped up, and again, this is all about nurturing my situation. I don't realize how hard I charge and how much stress that can create for me, even if it's positive. And how much energy that can pull out of me. So I have to find more ways to prioritize energy going back in, for myself as well. Just as I'm sure a lot of people do. If you want a better relationship with your spouse, you got to invest time into it. You just can't fake these things. Or you want a better relationship with your son or daughter, you got to invest time into it. And it can't be this time that's on your terms. Just like this trip to Sayulita. If it was on my terms, we would have had the wedding here, right? But it's not on my terms. It's on their terms. And I chose to go on their terms to support their cause. And for people that you care about, that's the sort of stuff that you do. You support them on their terms and their cause. A lot of people get that one mixed up from a relationship standpoint. It's not about you. It's about how you support these other people in your life that means something to you on their terms, okay? And so the truth of all of this is that you cannot fake progress in any area of your life. The progress that you're going to achieve, it requires, time, it requires effort, it requires emotion, and it requires a hell of a lot of work. It requires you to give up versions of yourself that no longer serve you. Sorry for the peck pump there. I didn't even realize I was doing it. So for you guys watching this video, you're gonna laugh. And I think the big thing too is that it requires you to mess up, stumble, and learn. And so I was having a really good conversation with my business partner yesterday, first day back from this little vacation. And one of the things that was interesting is Anthony's his name. He and I have known each other for about 5 years. And I've watched him go through this metamorphosis. He was always in phenomenal shape, but you just hear him talking, hey, I'm tweaking this or I'm trying this. And I just thought that was really cool because here's somebody that he pays a hell of a lot of attention to his body and his health and how he looks and how he feels, all those sorts of things. And he's still learning, he's still tweaking, he's still nurturing. And I think that's the philosophy that when we have that, we're constantly trying to figure out a way to get the edge. And that means that we're really engaging with this stuff, okay? And so I think what all this comes down to is it just comes down to putting in the time and putting in the work to nurture the things that are important to us. And so in order to kind of identify why we don't see enough people putting in that time or why people struggle with these categories that we talk about, we really have to look at the reason as to why people don't put in the work. And I think it boils down to the fact that they're afraid that they're not going to get anything in return. Okay? Or they might not see something quick enough. And I think it's like a mirage, it's false. And so the big thing is that you have to engage with the process in order to see progress, in order to see a result. You can't fake that, you have to engage with it. And so, my goal for this week, for everybody listening to this and everybody watching this, is I want you to focus on nurturing the things that are important to you. So if you have a relationship that means something to you, nurture it on their terms, not your own. If you have a body goal that you're looking to achieve, nurture it. Put in the time, eat well. Make sure you get your workouts in. Like prioritize this stuff. Okay. If you're having trouble with energy or stress, right? Prioritize your sleep. Try to clean up your diet. It doesn't need to be everything all at once. Just pick one category and one thing to focus on within that category. And as always, like I say this every week, if you guys need help, even if you just want to talk about this particular thing, my contact information is on this stuff. Okay, so I'm more than happy to help. But the thing is just focus on one thing this week from one of those categories that you can nurture. Maybe it's a date night, taking your spouse to a place that they love, and dressing up and getting really fancy because that's important to them. Or maybe again, it's, hey, I haven't been feeling the best recently. I just need to make sure that I eat better for myself. That's you nurturing something that means something to you. And you'll hear people all the time, why do you got to eat like that? Or why do you have to do like this? And the answer is simple, because it's important to me. There's a big reason why I don't drink a lot. There's a big reason why I have my routines. It's because, man, helping people get over their bullshit when it comes to their body, it's one of the most gratifying things, but it's also one of the most important things, especially because I've been in an environment where I've sat across the table from somebody and they've told me that they've been thinking about this for 30 years, getting in shape. And that's alarming to me. I'm only 30 years old currently at this moment. And to think that my whole life somebody's been thinking about this stuff, it blows my mind. So, I've got a lot of purpose behind this, and I have a lot of power and energy behind doing this. And so I just want to give you guys really, really good tips and give you guys really good advice. And so the last thing I'm going to leave you with is a quote. Nobody wrote this. I kind of came up with it, but I probably stole it. Just like everything, Pablo Picasso said, good artists copy, great artists steal. So I probably stole this from somewhere. I just don't know where. It kind of feels like it's mine. But the quote of the week is this: like a flower that needs water and light, your goals and aspirations need time and effort. They need time and they need effort. You cannot fake this stuff. These quick fixes, guys, come on, right? These fad diets, again, come on. These supplements, these waist wraps, all this shit that we do that basically just steals our time and steals our money and steals our emotion. Because here's the reality of the situation. When you do this bullshit that people do, what ends up happening is you end up yo-yoing. You spend this money, this time, this emotion on thinking that this is going to be the best thing, when the reality is it might work for a week and then it just stops working, and then you're just right back on the cycle and on the bandwagon. Whereas if you would have just done it right the first time, things would have been a hell of a lot better, and you'd probably feel better too, okay? But all I'm trying to get at, there's a right way and a wrong way to do this stuff, but at the end of the day, if you're starting from scratch, I commend you on at least just trying and identifying something that is important to you. That way you guys can, continue to progress it and, put in the time to nurture it. So again, if you're starting from scratch, wonderful. If you find yourself in this cycle of not making any progress, that's why we're here to help. So I hope you guys have a phenomenal week. And most importantly, I hope you crush it.